Hey, paisans, the time has come. On the air since 2009, the independently produced, non-FCC compliant champ of video game talk podcasting. Here comes Tiger Claw Radio. Here's your host, Critical Failure.
Welcome everybody to Tiger Claw Radio. This is your host, Critical Failure. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. It's that time again. In the meantime, we're going to listen to some chiptunes, hang out, talk some video games, and kind of recap things. Stick with us. We're going to kick things off with another one from the archive, because when we got into the APC archive last week for the chiptune special, I forgot how awesome those old 8BC tracks are. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. This is Hey Jules from Sunday Carousel. Welcome back in the studio, everybody. We're going to set the Wayback Machine to a couple of days ago, to a little bit I recorded just before Christmas, I believe. Let's go there now. All right, I'm laughing inside, and I'm also crying when I read this one. Ubisoft account worth hundreds of dollars deleted due to inactivity. Hundreds of dollars in games. All right, first of all, who spends hundreds of dollars on games on their Ubisoft account? I've got an Ubisoft account. It's got like 4 games in it. And they're games I bought on Steam that require an Ubisoft account. I mean, they've got the Anno series and whatnot, but really hundreds of dollars? I don't know. If you read the article, you got a guy who says he was really into gaming, decided to take a break from gaming because he was way too into it, and he wanted to focus on school and work and life. And good for that guy, because if you got hundreds of dollars in your Ubisoft account, then yeah, maybe it's time to take a break. So he takes a break. A couple of years go by. He tries to go back to gaming. He says, in 2020, I sold my PC because I was way too much. I was gaming way too much, and it went over the healthy way of doing it. I made a choice to work and attend school. He tries to get back to it. Upon checking his email, he said that he found an inactivity warning from Ubisoft in his spam folder, dated January 20th. The email stated that the account had been temporarily shut down and will be permanently closed if he didn't click the link provided in 30 days. Long story short, they closed his account, and when he reached out to their representatives, he was told that it wasn't an automatic procedure. It was manually flagged, and it can't ever be restored. Why? Look, it's awful, awful policy. I see a lot of people talking about this on forums, like as a golden example of why digital distribution is not a great idea, right? And you should just have your old games that you can hold in cartridges and stuff. And there's a really good argument. However, from an IT perspective, this is more of a real policy issue on Ubisoft's part rather than like the technology crumbling. Because you're not going to see this on Steam. You're not going to see this on GOG. I have a Gamersgate account, if anybody remembers Gamersgate, that I haven't been into in over a year. You know what? Just like as a fun exercise, is Gamersgate still around? Just to be clear, I'm not talking about the consumer boycott. I'm talking about the game dealer website entitled Gamersgate. Give me a second. Gamersgate.com. Please be still around. Gamesgate? I think they might be closed. Except, no, they're still around. Gamersgate. Not Gamergate. Gamersgate. All right, let's put in the old email. Hit next. Putting in the password. Incorrect email or password. Oh boy. All right, let me see if this actually works. This is not good. Gamersgate is telling me I'm getting my password wrong. There's no way I'm getting this password wrong. Now I've got to get into my Gamersgate account. There is no other option. I gotta have my copy of Europa Universalis 2. Never mind the fact that I have it on other platforms. I think my Gamersgate account might be gone. I opened this, to put it in perspective, I opened this account back in the Gooch and the Douchebag days. So that'd be like circa 2010. And at the time, that was when Scenic 7 PR, good old Carl, was handling getting us in contact with people who wanted exposure. So he set up these Gamersgate accounts for us. And Gamersgate would funnel in some games that they want reviewed to all the press accounts. So it was a press account. So in this instance, if they did close it, it would make sense. What's weird, though, is long after they stopped actually funneling in content and long after everyone stopped providing coverage, the accounts were still active. Like, it became my regular Gamersgate account, and I would make regular purchases there. This is a long time ago. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's closed. I'm putting it in, and it's telling me that my password is incorrect, and that's 100% not the case. I could wrestle with it to see, because it would make sense for it to be like flagged as inactive, and then I would have to go through password reset or maybe even support to get it open. But I'm not going to do that because it's Gamersgate, and I don't really use that site anymore. But that here I am trying to make a case for digital distro, and here they are doing exactly what I said. Oh, nobody's going to do that but Ubisoft. You're watching it unfold live on the air. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you, Gamersgate. Never shop there, everyone. They mostly just sell Steam codes these days anyway. Back in the old days, Gamersgate would sell games and you would download them, and they'd essentially be like old school Windows install files. Something akin to like GOG, just localized install is great. But then they started peppering in, all right, we're going to sell this game, but when you buy it, we're essentially just giving you a Steam code. And then, years down the road, it kind of seemed like every game they sold was that way. It's just a Steam code. Steamworks client is required in order to play this game. So, I don't know. It just seems like get a Steam account to me, because they weren't even being sold like at a discounted rate or something. It's just like a Steam proxy website. All right. I'm sliding off track here. This was a story about the instability of digital distro, or rather the instability of Ubisoft accounts, and now, in addition to that, Gamersgate. So diversify your profiles, people, because you never know when one of these services is going to go down. In addition to that, the other bullet point I have in recent news is Gun Media, who's famous for making the Friday the 13th game. They've got a trailer out for a new video game. They're going to make the Texas Chainsaw Massacre online multiplayer game. And there is a trailer, but it's one of those like cinematic trailers that doesn't really show you anything about the gameplay, because I imagine the game is still a good ways off now. They're talking about like I was going to say they're talking about a mid-2022 release, but it's December, so that could be like 6.5 months away. But yeah, there's a lot of like mixed feelings when you read comments for the trailer. There's people who are saying it looks awesome, and it certainly does. There's people who are saying, look, Friday the 13th was a great looking game, but was full of bugs. And that is true, but they were also actively developing Friday the 13th, and it was also like continually getting better. I was playing that game when it was still like around, before they got sued out of oblivion. So I would like to take, as I often do, the unreasonably optimist point of view, because sometimes I think that's just what's good for me. I don't want to be, I don't want to be the pessimist. That's why we have Alex Swingle. He's like, all right, guys, this is how it really is. I'm like, Alex, come on, man. But the optimist view is that they're making a game that in mechanics is probably going to play an awful lot like Friday the 13th. We know it's going to be an online horror multiplayer game. But since they were whiny babies, we're just going to do it again without your IP. And I think that would be fantastic. Because Friday the 13th is still, not was, but is still a good game. They had the foresight. It's a perfect example of why dedicated servers are not always great. Because you can still play Friday the 13th because one of the party members is the host. So even after the company can't touch it anymore, it's still playable. Although good luck getting a game going without having a private group. I was able to play a little bit yesterday with a group of people on Discord, and it was just a reminder of just how awesome that game was, and how much more awesome it could have been, which is why I'm thrilled to death that Gun Media is back at it again here at Krispy Kreme, knocking signs off the wall, making games, and shaking up the industry. Good for them. I hope this game is a huge success, and as of right now, unless something crazy happens, I'm planning on buying it. I still have that Gamersgate site open, and I'm like, I scrolled down a little bit just looking at the page, because it's been a while since I've been here, so it looks considerably different. And I noticed this at the bottom of the site. Welcome to the new era of Gamersgate. A new design, stylish and functional. Be gone, 2006. 2 new mascots, Gronk and Growlers. Glyzz. Glees. Will help you navigate and keep you company. Oh, that's so nice. I just made myself shudder making that voice. A reworked backend makes everything work faster. Ouch. Okay, in the IT world, a reworked backend means a data migration, and that's a big yikes from me, brother. A dedicated help center for all your problems, and much more to come. Yay! There's more to come at Gamersgate. Gamersgate had a gimmick where you could choose a mascot, and the mascot was related to what type of game you liked. And at the time, I was big into like grand strategy games. And Gamersgate, they're owned by Paradox Interactive or vice versa. So that's where at the time all the grand strategy games were. So I picked like the Napoleon mascot, and the mascot that you picked would give you like exclusive deals. So you picked the strategy mascot, you would get strategy deals. I thought it was a great gimmick. It really drove home the fear of missing out. So you had to be real careful with which one you picked. So for that sense, I guess it's a good thing that it's gone, that they're not doing that anymore. But I thought it was a neat idea, and it was definitely something that nobody else was doing. Now this just looks like this looks like a game dealer, from 2010 that isn't around anymore. What was it, G2 Games or something like that? I know there was at least one. There's a specific game dealer I'm thinking of, but I can't think of the name. That was like around when I first got into digital distro. Like when I first opened my Steam account, there was like a Steam alternative, but that site is now gone. I wish I could remember their name. Oh well, that's what this reminds me of. So I don't know. Proceed with caution, boys and girls. That's Gamersgate.com. Check it out today. Full scrim. This piece is being recorded on December 22nd. So, based on what I've read, today's the day that the Steam sale starts, the winter sale. So, what about it? You guys got anything in mind? I recently started playing Dead by Daylight again. Played it with Swingle, talked about it a little bit last week. Played it again yesterday, a good bit, and my goodness, I had a lot of fun. See, I used to play that game as a survivor consistently, and I had one main. Dwight, for those of you who play the game, is the guy who, gives everybody proximity bonuses. So you play as Dwight, your best bet is to follow somebody around. So two of you start working on an engine together, and you get, a better bonus than you normally would because of this particular character. That guy was my main. I maxed him out, played it over and over again until I couldn't get any further. So this time when I picked it up, just picked another main. Now I'm playing as Claudette. Doesn't matter who she is or what she does, whatever. If you don't play the game, none of that's important. If you do play, she's the healer. She's the TF2 medic of the group. But yeah, being able to go through progression again has been good. Has been good. It is a good game. Not a perfect game, especially put next to Friday the 13th. It doesn't look great. But they do a great job keeping it active. They've got seasonal events and things like that. So I can't say too much bad about them. And the gameplay is fun, despite all its problems. So when the winter sale comes, I'm thinking about picking up some not Friday the 13th, picking up some Dead by Daylight DLC, maybe if I have any money. We'll see. Apart from that, I don't think I really have my sights set on anything else. Let's pop over to my wish list. Again, I'm more interested in just getting multiplayer games that I already have for my kids' accounts. It would be nice to play Zero Gear, on a LAN with my children. I think that'd be wonderful. Final Fantasy IX is currently $10.50 on Steam. That's a pretty good deal. That's half off. Wow, that's been out since 2016. It feels like it's only a year or two ago they put Final Fantasy IX on Steam, but there it is. Yeah, it's been 5 years. Oh my gosh, it's going fast, man. As my wife said, a couple months back, and this has resonated with me. She says the days are really long, but the years are really short, and it's truer words have never been spoken, brother. But Final Fantasy IX is a game that's kind of been on my Steam radar for a little while, so I might pick that one up. I don't know Wait a second. Wizardry, the 5 Ordeals is out? Get out of here. Let's take a look. English language not supported, but it does exist. Unavailable in your preferred languages. Wizardry, the 5 Ordeals. Oh my gosh. How can I sum this up without reeing too hard? Because my spidey senses are tingling. All right. Give me a second to collect my autism. All right. Here we go. Super brief. Stay with me. Old school dungeon crawling. You guys know I love my wizardry. If you aren't familiar, the first 5 games are caught in a right tail. You can't get them anymore. That's why they maintain on abandonware sites, and that's why if you go to Steam, you can only get Wizardry 6, 7, and 8. Wizardry, the 5 Ordeals, is not the original 5 games. It is 5 new games, newish games. Came out in 2006. They're remade for 2011. Built-in scenario. I thought it was a scenario editor. Oh my gosh. I've never been so disappointed from misreading something. New built-in scenario selector. Woo! Who cares? But custom portraits support. So hopefully I can upload JPEGs and make my memes come alive, because I like the few games that allow for that to happen. That sucks. I thought that'd be really cool if there was a scenario editor. That'd be really fun. But no English language support. And support is a funny thing. I was talking about this with Swingo the other night. No English language support does not necessarily mean no English language. You know, I see a lot of comments, people talking about what they think of it in English. So, who knows? Old user screenshots that have English text. This is from the developer. List of old user scenarios that have an English message until the service and the scenario editor and translation of the official scenarios. Perhaps the user scenarios will be available for you to enjoy. This list will be updated as needed. Ancient Tower of Isa, the Cosmic Earth, Abyss of Ancient Relics, Fate of Accursed Beings. Until the service of the scenario editor. And so there is a scenario editor. I thought I heard something like that. I don't know. All right, let me pull back from this well of autism. But Wizardry, the 5 Ordeals, which was, again, they were being sued because of the not sued, but they had some legal issues that held up release. Now apparently it's in early access. So if you want to get it, it's $30. It's $27 if you get it between now and January 5th. I'm interested. We're going to take a look at it after the Steam sales have come and gone for the season. However, that is a thing that exists in our world. Back again in the studio. Quick shout out to the Patreon sponsors. This is a Patreon sponsored program. Thank you guys so much for helping keep the lights on. So to them I offer a place in the Hall of Distinguished Gentlemen that I read off here on the air. And they are Hemrock, Darabka, Tecmo Balls, and Eric Controller. Hope you guys are enjoying the party, and I hope you had a good Christmas. Let's go back to the 8BC archives and see what else was hot in the chiptune community 10 years ago. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. That's Craig Umroman with the Mario Kart 64 theme as played on the Game Boy. All right, so this week we've got a first. We got an audio comment from good old Mecha Menace, which we've never had before. Super psyched about that. So let's go there now.
All right, on today's comment, we're going to be talking about Game Boys, Lamborghinis, and the Lamborghinis Game Boys. But first, we're going to jump to a chiptune developed in Nanoloop in honor of today's comment. Okay, that was... Is that good? Are we all better now? Sorry about that. Great. That's Beep from Mecha GB. Would that be Mecha Game Boy? Isn't that like the Schuylkill River? An oxy... It's not an oxymoron. What's the word? You know, the word that's like you use two of the same word, like river. It's not tautology. I don't know. Same word twice. Anyways, let's Lamborghini out of the Siberian bunker base for a Raiden cast. Okay, so we had to scrap plans to roll out on Raiden, the Lamborghini of the Siberian bunker base. Instead, we'll have to stroll out. It was raining heavily earlier. It's now just raining a bit, like a sun rain. I don't really have anything besides an umbrella to keep my recording equipment dry, and that doesn't really work well on a bike, so yeah, I just don't want to damage things. So anyways, let's get out there. Go. Close the glass doors. Make sure the compression seal is tight. We're now off into the wilderness. Get some apples. The Game Boy, I feel like my experience probably resembles a lot of other people's experience in that it was my first console. Truly, not true. Technically, we had an Atari 5200 and 286 my dad got from his work for free, but not the 5200, but the 286. And that, the 5200 died pretty soon, but that 286, it had excellent games in its own right. King's Quest, Heroes Quest, zany golf. I mean, we had Commander Keen, we had Killer Blaster. A lot of these games we got from Spinnerax, Wolfenstein 3D. But they were slideshows. We were picking up games that in a screenshot might resemble something that looked like it was on a modern game console, but maybe Commander Keen 4 was probably the closest thing to what you would see on a console. Just a really well put together platformer. But yeah, eventually we got the Game Boy, and man, that thing was like, it was the gateway to a lot of the mainstream titles that we were seeing on Nintendo Power and GamePro and EGM. So just a really rich library that I think rivals any main console, just because how long development went on for. You're bound to developers to get into making rich experiences beyond the puzzles and burst play experiences that a lot of people associate with the Game Boy. I think actually the Game Boy being my first main console gives me this appreciation for handhelds. I always felt like people looked down on the Game Boy and other handhelds as being subpar, but like I said, they have this rich library. At least the Game Boy line does, because it went on for so long. It was so cheap to develop for. People could have an idea and bring it to fruition much easier than to develop on a console. I think maybe that kind of changed when the DS came around. People were seeing 3D and going like, maybe these handhelds have something. But even those 2D games rock hard. So a lot of good memories on that Game Boy. Picking up some of the later what I learned to be super rare valued titles, and I guess that gives me a little cachet as a gamer. I don't really care so much to sell my Felix the Cat on the Game Boy, but I do think that it is the superior version of the game compared to the NES. So I guess we're going to be crossing the street here, and we don't want people to run us over. And yeah, maybe with these new tools that they are attaching to this release, giving attention to, you're going to see more content come out on the platforms that this thing supports. So yeah, there might be the Game Boy's not dead yet, man. Okay, we're safe, back in the bunker, got a fresh cup of boiled water. Because that's how we do it in Siberia, no heat or hot water, so we make hot water. So let's throw to another Nanaloop tune. This one's called Boop, again from MechaGB. Look at this guy. It's about the time of the comment where I shouted all the sponsors of the comment. Because this is a free comment, there are no sponsors. So we'll have a brief moment of silence dedicated to the loud voice in my head driving me to create this comment. So after 2 years, the Analog Pocket began shipping about a week ago. I actually received my shipping notification on the 18th, so I think they're shipping out around 1,000 of these per day just based on my order number and the first ones that went out. What I think has people most interested in this device is its community-driven enhancement of the device post-release. So people are able to get in there and finagle with how games are being run. For instance, the screen, which has a resolution of something crazy like 1600 by 1400 compared to the original Game Boy, which is like 150 by 150. It's almost square. But yeah, 10 times the resolution allows people to mimic how all these different visual artifacts of running on the different LCDs, the blur, the ghosting, being able to see the grill of the LCD screen on these various hardware. Which, if it was a pixel perfect look, I think I wouldn't be as interested in it because I don't really like that. I like trying to get that original look as much as possible. So yeah, this allows you to mimic that, and I didn't say it yet, but obviously there's it runs Game Gear games as well. It runs Lynx games, Neo Geo Pocket Color, and TurboGrafx 16 games with adapters. But it also allows you to change how the way sound is interpreted or decompressed. For example, Blades of Steel might actually, with this option turned on, sound like Blades of Steel. We got that dock going there, which is a really cool feature. We got, being able to play games on a big screen. I hate pulling out my Game Gear. It's so cumbersome, and I hate the speaker. I had a Game Gear back in the day, and going back to it now, it's just all these inconveniences pop up and makes me not really enjoy playing my Game Gear games. And when I got a Master System at a garage sale, which is very similar to a Game Gear, the hardware, playing them on a big screen, I didn't find myself hating them. So I feel like running the Game Gear games on a big screen might actually make me enjoy them more, and it's more convenient to have all these things in one package. And I'm hoping that maybe I can run a Master System adapter via the Game Gear adapter and be able to run Master System games on the TV, and so I don't have to pull out my Master System every time I want to play it. So yeah, I think this has everybody intrigued. It has me intrigued, all these different features. I didn't even go into the Game Boy Development Studio and audio creation tool, which I think, draws attention to them, and maybe people create more content for the platform just because they know there's a community behind that supports it. So yeah, let's jump to the Satacast, the satellite portion of the comment. But first, how about another chiptune called Trill? Not Shrill, but Trill. Again, this is by Mecha GB.
Hey, Justin, what's up, guy? This thing is bigger than I expected. I thought it was literally going to be the size of a Game Boy Pocket. It has like a plastic feel to it, which I'm happy about. I wasn't sure if it was going to be metal, and I would have hated to have metal because it would be so cold to touch. I chose to get the white one because I thought with the little green power button on the side, it looked kind of like a mint. This screen actually is a lot bigger than I was expecting. Because of the bigger screen size and the way you would hold a Game Boy Pocket, it actually has a good finger placement. The shoulder buttons, honestly still not as comfortable as the wide grip Game Boy Advance. It has these ridges on the back, which if it didn't have those, I feel like the grip would be less just because of how slippery it feels. It actually does feel substantial. The cartridge slot is right at the edge there. It looks like something could pop out, but there is some lip. I guess they did it like that so that you can put in cartridge adapters.
Back at the main station, Back at the main station here, this is the Mecha Failbag, otherwise known as the mailbag portion of the comment. Hey, it's just you, it's just me. We're all in on this, right? But yeah, since we have no one to write into the mailbag this week, that's okay. We'll just go to the imaginary forum where we can read comments left by no one. So how about this one? What do you want as your ordinary superpower? Sorry, the ordinary superpower. That is, it's not fantastic. It's not like you can fly, turn invisible, or punch mountains with a pinky. This is a power that would alleviate some of the stress related with a day-to-day task. That is an interesting question. You know what? I think I would not like to stick to super glue because it's very difficult to get the super glue where you want while compressing two objects together. I mean, it's difficult to avoid getting your fingers in the mess, and I eat with my fingers, I use contacts, and I drink, so yeah, the last thing I need is acrylamide gunking up some tiny duct inside my body or flaking off into my eye. So Yeah, and I spend this lengthy amount of time afterwards scraping my fingers into a bloody mess using copper wool. So yeah, that's it. That's all the comments for this week. And remember, M&Ms make a mess in your hands and your mouth, so throw those suckers away.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Yeah, and enjoy that new piece of hardware, man. I'm interested to hear, after you've had it for a while, what you actually settle into playing. Because I'm seeing a lot of these things come out, and we get first impressions. But there's no, like, okay, I've had this thing for 2 weeks, and what I'm finding is this is the game that matches the well with it. And I'm right there with you in terms of the Game Boy having a rich library. Although I'm so the Game Boy is so ingrained with like early like fond memories of like playing video games with my brothers and stuff. And my older brother had one, and I remember being very, very young and wanting to play with it and not being able to. And I'm so close to that machine, it's very difficult for me to give it like an objective like comparison to other machines at the time. Like you talked a little bit about the Game Gear and it being big and clunky. I didn't have a Game Gear growing up. I had a friend who had one, and I got to borrow it for like a week or two, and I remember loving it. But at the same time, I haven't played an actual Game Gear probably in 20 years. So that was a thing. And at the time, there was no standard, like Game Gear was what I remember okay, let me word this a different way. What I remember being special about the Game Gear is that it had a CRT type monitor that would light up and you could play it in the dark. Whereas a Game Boy, I could not play in my room when I was supposed to be asleep. But I remember playing, the little bit I do remember about Game Gear, I remember playing Shining Force, which it had a good version of Shining Force, and I remember it had a really, really difficult version of Sonic 2, which was a good time. But yeah, I remember the Game Gear being awesome, but I don't remember too many details. These days, Game Gear exists to me as like a subset of Genesis ROMs or Master System ROMs that you can get going on an emulation machine. But yeah, I remember the Game Gear fondly. It's kind of sucks to hear about it being big and clunky and uncomfortable, because that's not really the way I remember it. One thing I will say though is I had a chance to buy a Game Gear. This is in 2011, back from Craigslist, back when Craigslist was still like a popular thing. And a guy emailed me at the last minute. It was $5, by the way, for this Game Gear. Guy emails me in the last minute. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, it doesn't have any battery covers. And at the time, I was like, all right, I'm out. Today, I would get one in a hot second for $5 with no battery covers. But back then, I was like, yeah, it's not worth it. And I regret it, because it's all these years later, I still don't have one. All of that said, Mecha Menace, you saved the show, brother, because that's all I have. There's no... Everybody's busy with Christmas, so there were no comments on the last episode, and I totally get that. Let me see here. Let me go back just a bit, because I did some, like, Saints Row. Oh, there were a couple. Okay. Yeah. Eric Controller says, nice return to the Vancast. Seems like the good old days are finally coming back. Merry Christmas. I've never used Epic. I think I had it installed on my computer for a while, but I can't recall why. Perhaps one of my Steam games required it. I never really liked Epic, especially when Metro Exodus got pulled from Steam because of backroom deals made between the developer and Epic Games. That seemed really uncool to me. And don't get me started with what I think about Fortnite. 43 minutes and 17 seconds in, you're self-deprecating had me legit laughing out loud. That's funny. I'm glad, brother. I forgot about Fortnite. So yeah, I guess technically I did play a game on Epic before, because I played Fortnite like a handful of times with some guys at the office. But I still maintain an account. I don't have it installed anymore, and I've never played any of the actual games that cost, but whatever. I'm a little curious to see what their itch.io app looks like. You know, because I have bought games off of itch.io, but not curious enough to actually install it and give it a shot. Eric, man, hope you had a good Christmas. Hope you're doing well. Alex, everybody, let's go. Alex, frustrated. Okay. Yes, indeed. I played some Saints Row 2, and there were a couple of comments about Saints Row 2 just being awesome. But I'm going to fast forward through those because there wasn't really much there. 49 minutes in, FPGA is Field Programmable Gate Array, which is an integrated circuit that can be programmed to simulate hardware with a very high level of accuracy to the functions of an original console, which is what the Analog Pocket runs on. Mister and a few others. It's what the Analog Pocket runs on. Mister and a few others run on. It's fairly expensive, but it's generally preferred over using traditional emulation. The Mister is maybe the best one to look into because it does lots of really cool stuff. Lazy Game Reviews did an awesome video on the Mister console. All right. I will have to check that out. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. It's just info that just never made it into my lexicon being an old PC guy. And that I think is the end of the line. All right, we're going to call it early. I hope you guys had a good Christmas, and I hope you have a safe New Year. And to everybody who's still hanging on after all this time, thanks. I appreciate it. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next Friday.